Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to wish you guys all a happy Easter. I hope you guys are home and safe with all of your family, and although it's not going to be a very big Easter celebration this year, I hope that you guys do get to cook up a nice little meal and just enjoy the time with whoever you do have around. Remember, there is technology, so you can always FaceTime your family and friends to wish them a happy Easter and share a little virtual Easter dinner. So in today's video, I'm sharing my quick and simple recipe for this cornbread stuffing. In our family, when we do Easter dinner, we make a lot of comfort food, so that's why it reminds us a little bit of Thanksgiving almost, and that's why we make stuffing during that time as well. So I'm going to share my recipe. If you didn't have the cornbread, feel free to use some crushed up crackers. Any type of cracker will work, and you can put this simple and quick stuffing dish together. So let's get into it. So the ingredients that I have for my stuffing are very simple. I have some chopped onions, chopped carrots, chopped celery, chopped hot pepper, chopped garlic, chopped bell peppers, some sage, as well as some rosemary and some thyme. And all of those are just going to give some great flavor. If you have the dried versions of these, feel free to use that. And if you don't have them, you can also omit them and use any other herbs. And I also have my cornbread here. If you're making cornbread fresh, you're going to want to overbake it to make it really dry. And if you wanted, you could use store-bought cornbread as well. So the first step of this recipe is to actually get all of those veggies and seasonings all chopped up. As you saw on the previous screen, I had already done all of that prep work. So really the next step is to just have your cornbread all crumbled up. So as I told you before in the last screen, you want to make sure that cornbread is super dry. The reason being is because you want it to soak up all of the flavors and all of the broth or the liquid that we're going to add in later. If it was too wet, it would actually make for a very clammy and a very wet stuffing, and that's not really what you're going for. So make sure you use the stale cornbread. I just over baked mine by like 10 to 15 minutes, so this way it was really dry. As you guys can see, it's very crumbly and very easy to mash up. Now again, if you didn't have cornbread or access to make cornbread or anything like that, feel free to use some regular saltine crackers. You can use those club crackers that people have as well. Any type of dried cracker will do for this dish as well. So once you get it crumbled up, we'll move on to the next step. Now the next step involves a really amazing ingredient. It is butter. You're going to go ahead and melt a few tablespoons of butter in the pan, and you want a good amount of butter so this way it can end up combining with all of the cornbread, all of the seasonings, and soaking up into our stuffing. Once you add that butter in and you let it melt in your pot on a medium heat, you're going to go in with all of your chopped garlic. Now this is garlic that I finely chopped, so this way it could get dispersed everywhere throughout the dish. And as I'm mixing up the garlic, I'm going in with a few sprigs of thyme. Again, if you only had dried thyme, feel free to use that. And if you didn't have any thyme, you do not have to use it at all. After about 30 seconds of mixing everything up, you're going to see that all of those garlic pieces start to separate and they're frying up really well. We're also going to go in with 2 bay leaves, and the bay leaves are just going to add a really nice savory flavor to the dish. And we're also going to go in with all of our onions at this time. Basically what you want to do is fry this up for just about 30 seconds, so this way those onions can get a little bit translucent and they can cook up a bit. So after about 30 seconds of sauteing, I'm going in with all of my chopped rosemary as well as my chopped sage. Again, if you didn't have access to both of these ingredients, you could go ahead and use the dried versions, or you can omit it. Trust me, during this quarantine time, there are many ingredients you could swap out or just not use for this dish. I really want you all to stay safe and stay home and not go out to the grocery store if you do not have to. So once you mix in all of those herbs, we're going to go in with the chopped carrots, the chopped celery, as well as the chopped bell peppers. I also wanted to mention, if you had some fresh scallions, feel free to add that in as well. And I'm also going in with all of the chopped hot pepper at this point as well. If you wanted to, you can go ahead and omit the hot pepper, but in my family, we like things a little spicy, so I'm adding that in. Basically, you're going to stir this up and you're going to start to let it soften. I really just wanted to take a moment and admire how colorful everything in this pot looks. I promise that when this stuffing is done, it's not going to look like a big mushy mess. It's going to have some nice color, it's going to have some nice depth of flavor into it, and it's going to taste really delicious. So before the veggies start to sweat down, for the most part, we're going to go in with some salt, and we're going to go in with some black pepper as well. Now basically what the salt is going to do is it's going to allow the veggies to release their own natural juices, and it's basically going to allow them to caramelize in the pot. So I've been cooking all of these veggies down for about 10 minutes at this point, and as you guys can see, they've deepened in color a little bit and they've gone ahead and softened really well. So at this point, I am going in and I am taking out those thyme sprigs and I am taking out the bay leaves as well. The reason being is because you don't really want to add it in when you have the cornbread and all of that stuff, because somebody might bite into it as they're eating it and it's not really a pleasant experience. So just make sure to remove all of the sticks of thyme as well as the bay leaves that you add in. So once all of those cooked veggies cool for just about 10 minutes, you're going to go ahead and add it on top of the cornbread. And basically this is the start of combining all of those ingredients together, getting all of the flavors in, and then all we have to do is pop this into the oven, and I'll show you guys exactly how we do all of that. So once you get all of those veggies mixed in with the cornbread, you're going to start to stream in a little bit of broth. Now for me today, I am using turkey broth because I have an organic box of turkey broth in my pantry. But if you have chicken broth, beef broth, veggie broth, even seafood broths, any type of broth will work. And honestly, if you don't have any of that, feel free to use some water, and you can also crush in one of those seasoning cubes or put in a little bit of adobo. Now in the description box below, I'm going to leave my measurement for the amount of broth that I use, but honestly it will totally depend on how dry your cornbread was, because sometimes it'll take more, sometimes it'll take less. So just stream it in and mix it up and you should get a nice little mushy texture such as this. Another thing that you want to do is go ahead and take an egg and start to beat it really well, and after you do this you're going to put that into the cornbread mix. The reason why we put an egg in is so this way it can bind that cornbread and it can make the cornbread hold up to itself and it will not just fall apart when it's done cooking. Now honestly, if you didn't want to add it, you can use any type of egg substitute, or you can just omit it. Just know that your cornbread stuffing will be a little more crumbly than mine. So all I'm doing is streaming in my egg, and I'm going to go ahead and mix it up really well. And before you add it in the egg, you can go ahead and taste it for any salt or seasoning that you might want to add. For me, it was perfect, but for you, you might want to add a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper, or literally any other type of seasoning you have in your pantry. This is a very forgiving dish, and it's something that you can totally make as per your own taste. So I wanted to also mention that another reason I added my egg in after I added all of the broth was just because when I added the veggies into the cornbread, the veggies were still hot. So if I were to have added the egg alongside the veggies, it would have cooked the egg a bit and given like little egg scrambles in the stuffing, and that's not what I wanted. But by all means, if your veggies are cool enough, you can mix in the egg before you mix in the broth. So once you mix everything in, you're going to go ahead and put it in a baking dish that you've buttered, and you're going to cook it for about 20 to 35 minutes. It totally depends on how hot your oven is, but basically you're looking for it to be nice and bubbly and brown all over the top. Alright guys, so my cornbread stuffing just came out of the oven, and I'm going to say that when you bake this, a good 25 to 30 minutes is exactly what it needs to get a beautiful crusty golden brown exterior. So I'm going to cut it up and I'm going to serve it and show you guys what it looks like. Alright everyone, this is exactly what we've been waiting for, the perfect cornbread stuffing. Now I went ahead and I gave this a taste, and guys, it was perfectly moist on the inside, had all of those beautiful flavors, and it was comforting because of all of the different flavors I added in. And honestly, it's going to make for the best side dish this Easter. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video today. Go ahead and give it a nice big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. And of course, keep leaving your amazing comments down below. Let me know what you're doing for Easter this year. No matter how simple it is, I hope you enjoy. Bye everyone.